Whether you're still fighting to make the postseason or just trying to hold on to your lead in the standings, you're going to need help from the waiver wire to get an edge. I'm going to give you the latest waiver wire ads that you need to take a look at right now, including 3 possible new closers. But as usual, let's start with the hitters and some of the hottest hitters in the league. We got some veterans that you might have forgotten about, including a guy who's just reminding us all how good he was in the first half of the year, Kerry Carpenter. Tigers are clearly in rebuild mode, and they made a lot of moves. They're bringing up prospects. In fact, just called up a couple more. Jace Young, who I talked about on Beat the Breakout not too long ago, and Trey Sweeney. I mean, that lineup is almost full of rookies these days, except Carpenter just came off the IL, and he announced himself pretty loudly with 3 home runs in his first 2 games. It seems like forever ago, but before he had an extended IL stint, Carpenter was really good. He was mashing early in the season. He hit 283 with 8 home runs and 29 RBIs, just 145 at bats. And in May, he was just getting hotter, hitting 309 in that month. But then injury hit, and we hadn't seen him until just now. Well, he was obviously happy to get back, raking right away, and so he's been the hottest pickup in all of fantasy lately for good reason. He's now hitting 292 in the season, and although, yeah, that offense is not super impressive, he's batting second, and we know he's got the power. He did calm down finally on Thursday, went 0 for 3, but it's obviously a guy with upside, especially in the home run department, so if he's still out there, go ahead and add him. Now, another veteran that was easy to forget about was Jake McCarthy. Very inconsistent, had some hot streaks, but did lose playing time at one point. You know, with McCarthy, you think speed, right? Helped you with stolen bases, can help you with average, but do you think RBI machine? Well, we might have to rethink that. Sure, he's got 17 steals in the season. That's nice. Hitting 311 now because of this recent hot streak, also very helpful. But here's the thing that really stands out. Like, he's been on fire this past week. There's no doubt about that. Hitting 467 over this past 30 at bats, but 3 home runs and 15 RBIs just in the past week. This is despite the fact he usually hits 7th in the lineup. It doesn't always play against left-handed pitching, but I mean, when the guy's on fire, you just can't ignore it after this long. He does help you in average. He does have speed, and I think overall the big thing here is that Arizona's offense just has been unstoppable since the second half began. Now, McCarthy has been added a lot over the last few days, understandably, but still shows only 58% rostered in Yahoo leagues and even much lower in ESPN leagues. Somehow, less than a fourth of fantasy leagues have him. And I say a very similar type of player to a lesser extent has been Alex Call of the Washington Nationals. Now, this is another team that's obviously not contending, going full blown youth movement with a couple of exceptions. They've got Juan Yepes, who had been on fire, at DH there. He's hitting second now. Not as great of a pickup as he was a couple of weeks ago. Now Alex Call is taking his place. Call has only been in the majors for a couple of seasons, off and on, not a regular starter. He's 29 years old. This is not some young up-and-coming prospect, right? This guy who's been around, just been like a 4th outfielder type, if even that. But he's making the most of his opportunity. He's getting to play now every day with Harold Ramirez, another veteran, being optioned. Yeah, the Nationals are not messing around. They're going to see what they have for next year. The call might not be in their long-term plans, but who cares? Right here, right now for fantasy, you pick him up because the guy cannot stop hitting. Since the All-Star break, he's hitting 426 with 1 home run, 11 RBIs, and 3 steals as well. And just since August 6th, he has 6 multi-hit games. He's getting hits in bunches. So while yes, this is also a hitter that doesn't have a ton of upside, not massive ceiling, not really a power hitter, okay, and he doesn't always hit high up in the order, but just roll with it. When a guy is on a roll like this, you pick him up, you stream him while you can, and then you can drop him for somebody else next week. Now, if you still need help at catcher, if you're looking for somebody in a 2-catcher league especially, you might just be able to go with Austin Wells the rest of the way because it looks like that's what the Yankees are doing. Wells was supposed to be one of the young upcoming prospects that was a mainstay of this lineup for the entire season, but he started to lose playing time because in the middle of the season, he couldn't buy a base hit. In fact, if you look at his expected batting average by month, It's really astounding what happened here. You start out pretty strong, looking like somebody who was worth buying into for fantasy, and then again, just completely unrosterable, even in a two-catcher league. And of course, he started to lose time to veterans who aren't really that great either, but guys like Jose Trevino were regulars behind the plate. When Ben Rice was called up, who is a catcher by trade, I actually worried about Wells. Maybe this meant that they were replacing him permanently, but Rice was brought up really just to play first base because of the Rizzo injury. And Wells, well, I guess he took this as a challenge to step up. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline as far as catching help goes. Trevino has been hurt. Wells has stepped up big time. He's running a 10-game hit streak, and he's got 9 RBIs over that span. And he's really been good the entire second half of the season so far, hitting 341, 3 home runs, and 16 RBIs. And of course, in a loaded, yes, still mostly loaded Yankees lineup. I'll tell you right now, even in a one catcher, 12-team league, Wells is certainly viable. Throw him in there. He can help you with average, home runs, power. And also, I am now very confident he's going to stay there almost every day because he isn't just helping the Yankees with his offense. His defense has been amazing. And this is why he was one of their top prospects overall. And he's finally showing it. One of the best defensive catchers overall in terms of runs saved behind the plate and framing. So Wells is definitely going to be there to help this team make a postseason push. Well, a team that's not making any sort of push is the Marlins, but of course, you know what happens when the fire sale is over. Playing time clears up for pretty much anybody. One guy who's taken advantage is one of their kind of mid-range prospects who's on fire now too, is Jonah Bride. Bride is a corner infielder who's got some pop. Hey, he's hitting cleanup for this team, which take that for what it's worth. He is also taking advantage of his shot over the last 2 weeks. Got 4 home runs and 13 RBIs. Since the All-Star break, he's hitting 308 with 17 RBIs. Yes, runs can be scored and driven in even on bad teams. Now, Bright is not a young prospect anymore, 28 years old. He's never really been able to crack the major league roster for an extended time. Well, again, this is his shot. He's hot right now. It's okay to view him in the short term as someone who can help you. He's driving in runs, so let's just roll with him for now. Now, on the starting pitcher front, I know it's going to be slim pickings these days in the waivers. Let's look at a couple of converted relievers who are now back in the rotation. Let's start with somebody who just came off a quality start for the first time in a long time, Cody Bradford of the Texas Rangers. You may remember way in the beginning of the season, back in April, Cody Bradford was looking like a revelation. Then he got hurt and missed a long period of time. Well, now he's back and every other Rangers pitcher is hurt, so he's back in the rotation out of necessity and just picked up a QS, like I mentioned, 6 innings, only 2 earned runs against Minnesota. This is his 3rd start in a row, and it looks like he will probably stick in that rotation. And look, if he's going to pitch the way he has, why shouldn't he? And he was near dominant in the very beginning of the year. Again, it was only 3 starts, right? But still, in his first 19 and a third innings pitched, he'd given up a total of 3 runs with 17 strikeouts and 2 walks. Don't know if he'll get back to that form, but hey, it's definitely worth taking a shot on him. And while I was also a little hesitant to buy in on a guy like Nick Martinez, who has bounced between the rotation and the bullpen, when I really dig into the numbers here, I'm all in. I want to add Nick Martinez if possible. Now, at first glance, you look at a guy who, even still after his recent stretch of dominance in the last 2 starts, as a starter this season, he's got an ERA of 5.02. Much better as a reliever, right? Low leverage situations, 1-2 innings at a time. Okay, no problem. But if you dig a little deeper, you notice a couple of things. So first of all, beginning of the year, he was in that rotation. He was just awful. I mean, there was no reason for him to stay there. That's why he got moved to the pen. But he has been really good in a couple areas. And in fact, you look overall this season, he's among the leaders in several StatCast areas. And that includes one of my very favorites for a pitcher. One of the things I look at the most is, do you not walk a lot of batters? And Nick Martinez says, yes, I don't like to walk batters. Among pitchers with at least 200 batters faced, he is up there top 5 in walk rate. And that shows lately in those last 2 starts I mentioned, a total of 12 innings, scoreless innings, 12 strikeouts, and no walks. Now, his strikeout rate isn't super impressive, 20.4%. It's solid, but not necessarily something that would help you as much in fantasy. But again, walk rate under 3%. That definitely helps your whip. And of course, when you don't give up runs, that helps your ERA. We'll see how long Martinez keeps this going. But again, I like the fact I know he's got really good command, and he has been, well, one of the best pitchers since moving back into the rotation. Now, you want to know about those closers? All right, here we go. No guarantees here that these guys will last or if they even really are the closer, but let's start with, I guess, the Orioles' new guy, Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's been around a while. He spent several years in Philadelphia. At one point was the fireman there. Well, now he got moved to the Orioles, and well, he's picked up 2 saves just in the past week. There's nothing official that's been announced by the team that he's in or that Kimbrel is out, but when a guy gets saves, that tells you something. He's been great ever since coming to Baltimore. A 1 ERA, 0.78 whip. Now, that's only 9 innings pitched, sure, but a couple of saves. He's got a history as being a closer. Again, I don't know how many saves he'll get from here on out, but you're looking for a short term fix in that category. Try him out. And then let's go back to Lucas Urseg in Kansas City. Remember, he wasn't a closer, then he was in Oakland, and then he wasn't, and now maybe he is because he went from the A's, was the short term stopgap for Mason Miller, and it looked like he lost the job and then got traded. Okay, so right now, KC, it's kind of a mess. Jameson MacArthur has been the guy who's got the most saves there, but he's not been very good or consistent. Hunter Harvey was picked up, thought maybe he would be the guy. Well, he's hurt. So Urseg, who was kind of an afterthought here, looked like he would just be a setup man. Now he's also got 2 saves in the past week. He's really been solid all year. He's got an ERA just over 3 and a whip just over 1. Since coming to the Royals, he's been lights out. So it looks like he definitely is, for now, the guy. I think I feel better about him in terms of getting that job. Are we sure he's going to be able to keep it? Because he has not been a closer for an extended time. That's the issue. And this is, again, not some young flamethrower. This is a guy who's been around, right, for a minute in the league. I think I feel okay about his prospects to continue getting saves. But again, just don't be surprised if it switches again. And I've been holding out on this for a while. I know I keep saying I'm not going to go with whoever the Rockies have in the 9th inning. All right, but look, you need saves, you need somebody. It looks like Victor Vodnik is still the guy there, so let's go with him. If you need saves, Vodnik, 5 saves just since the trade deadline, and doesn't look like there's anybody really threatening that job, except for maybe himself, because in his very last outing, he did blow a save, right? Not a very good appearance, but so far he's been good on the season for the most part. I say that despite the fact his StatCast numbers really aren't very encouraging. He's got a 4.16 ERA, kind of ugly 1.47 whip, which is why I've been holding off on recommending him. But again, you just need help in that one saves category. Hey, he's getting them. And let me throw out one more deep league option at starter. Once in a while, we see a pitcher emerge kind of out of nowhere, not even close to being a team's top prospect on a bad team. And yeah, I'm going to throw out another Marlin here just because I've now become aware of Valente Beloso. And hey, if you look at what he's done, it is noteworthy. He just pitched 7 scoreless against the Phillies lineup, and 3 of his last 5 starts, he's held the opposition to 0 runs. So in his 5 starts since joining that rotation, a 2.28 ERA and a 0.94 whip. And we're not just talking 1 or 2 games here so far. He's had 5 starts against some good offenses. Now, the thing with Beloso is he's not even nearly a top prospect on a really thin farm system on a really bad team. Okay, that's why nobody wants to buy into him. You can pretty much get him anywhere. This is more of an NL only, very deep league option. But again, this happens. Sometimes guys just emerge, right? If he's going to continue this run, you might want to buy in on him. He's not going to be overpowering hitters. In fact, he wasn't even a top 30 prospect, according to Fangraphs or MLB Pipeline for the Marlins. He's got a good changeup, and that's pretty much it. He's been able to limit hard contact to opponents, and that's the key. So, hey, again, you're digging around the waiver wire, nothing looks appealing. Maybe Beloso will pay off. It's crucial that you keep adding key pieces to your roster to help you, and that includes stashing prospects before they get the call, before your league mates find out. Remember, Beat the Breakout is still here every week. Here's the latest one.